She was tried and convicted of the murder of her
What's Sully in your life?
son, Damon Routier.
Starting to act like Sully now.
And Devin was also murdered, and Darlie was attacked in the same crime. And they only ended up trying her on Damon's murder. And there's a lot of speculation there that they only tried her for Damon originally because, one, it was a capital punishment trial, so that means it's automatically eligible for the death penalty. And it also leaves some room for speculation that if that trial was not successful and they were not able to get a conviction, that they then could come back and try her for Devin's murder.
Common sense would tell you that if they were not able to convict her based on the evidence that they saw at the crime scene on Damon, that they also would not be able to convict her on a sentence for Devin, because the crime scene and the evidence stays the same for both cases, no matter who could be tried. But I'm going to listen more.
So they moved the trial to Kerrville, and they were able to secure a conviction based on the very little information that they had.
I don't understand what she means by the very little information that they had. The jurors had all the information that was... they had all the information that was, presented at the case. All the evidence that the law enforcement officials gathered up was there presented to them.
The other thing I want to point out is that if they would have included Devin in the actual charges. Now, they did talk about Devin's murder during the trial. It was all one crime. They couldn't...
Dick Davis's opening statement made it perfectly clear that the case was about both Devin and Damon.
really separate one and not talk about Devin. But they didn't necessarily charge her with that crime during this particular trial.
They didn't charge her with the crime, but they discussed how Devin was attacked. They discussed everything about Devin. She just wasn't charged with it.
She wasn't tried for it. She was originally indicted on that crime as well, but she was not tried for Devin's murder. If they had thrown Devin's case in there as well, it would have opened up the prosecution to have to explain a couple different things. One, the murder weapon that was recovered from the house was tested and only had Damon and Darlie's blood on that murder weapon.
Prosecution can easily explain that the 4 points that were protocol at that time, 4 points of the knife, were tested.
Odd? I think so.
No, it's not really odd. It depends on who was attacked first. A blood on blood can cover through. It's like ice on ice.
What?
Like for instance, if Devin was stabbed first, which I think he was, his blood's on the knife. Then that blood goes into Damon. Damon's blood's on the knife. Into Damon. Damon's blood's on the knife. Then the slice to Darlie. Darlie's blood's on the knife.
What also makes that even more interesting or odd or alarming is that there is some speculation that Devin's wounds are slightly different than Damon's, and Devin's wounds would appear
Because they were laying in different positions. They had different body mass.
as if they were created with a weapon that was double-edged, meaning both sides.
That would mean that someone had a double-edged knife coming up to the house. So why would they need the serrated knife?
Of the wounds had sharp separation.
Remember, they keep telling us that this intruder did not bring their own weapons. That's one of the things they keep saying. That's how they explain why they grabbed Darlie's knife.
Whereas if you have a single-edged wound or single-edged knife, it leaves more of a blunt edge on the one side where it's not, sharp. So did they purposely reserve Devon's case solely for the reason that...
No, they reserved Devon's case because they were going for the maximum penalty. That's what prosecutors do. If they would have got her just for Devon, it would have only been a life sentence. Then the people would have said, well, you found her guilty enough on that. Why didn't you try her for Damon? She would have got the death penalty. It cost the taxpayers the same amount of money as far as the trial proceedings and all. They're going for the harshest outcome.
They might have to charge her,
just like Darlie did,
or try her again for Devon's murder because Damon's case was pretty flimsy and completely circumstantial. Or did they also
not flimsy at all
reserve Devon's case because they weren't able to explain those two things? Devon's wounds were not consistent with the knife that was found at the crime scene, and his blood was also not found on that knife at the crime scene. I mean, think about that. If it was just...
It doesn't mean that his blood isn't there again. They only tested 4 points of that knife.
One or the other, it might not be as indicative that there was a second murder weapon involved.
Why would there be a second murder weapon? Why would one person have a knife and not another one if they're coming to kill? Why would they need the serrated knife to get in?
I don't know. What do y'all think? And there is not a... Hey, Michelle.
I think you're grasping at straws. Tracy.
The cat's not supposed to be out of the room. And there was a hornet inside the house. And the cat and the hornet were both in the same area. And you said you might want to get that cat.
Okay, Tracy. All right. Okay.